It's important to understand the factors that led to this situation. Vladimir Putin has been the de facto ruler of Russia for over 2 decades, since his ascension to power in 2000. He has consolidated his authority through a combination of popular appeal, authoritarian tactics, and geopolitical maneuvering. In today's video, we'll be showing you how Putin's hate will crush the Russian economy. Without further ado, let's begin. Putin's annexation of Crimea and support for separatist rebels in eastern Ukraine have resulted in a Western set of sanctions on Russia. These sanctions have targeted key sectors of the Russian economy such as energy, finance, and defense, and have restricted access to international markets and technology. This has had a severe impact on the Russian economy, with foreign investment and trade declining sharply, and the ruble depreciating significantly. Putin's crackdown on civil society and political opposition have stifled innovation and creativity in the country. Putin's government has limited freedom of expression, association, and assembly, and has targeted journalists, human rights activists, and oppositional figures. This has led to a climate of fear and self-censorship, and has discouraged independent thinking and critical inquiry. As a result, Russia has struggled to attract and retain talented and skilled workers who seek opportunities for intellectual and professional development, and who value freedom and democracy. Putin's promotion of a conservative and nationalistic ideology has hindered the development of a modern and inclusive economy and society. Putin has championed traditional values such as patriotism, family, and religion, and has opposed Western liberalism and diversity. This has led to discrimination against minorities, such as the LGBTQ+ people and ethnic and religious minorities, and has created a hostile environment for foreign and domestic investors who value diversity and inclusivity. Moreover, Putin's vision of a strong and self-sufficient Russia has undermined the need for cooperation and exchange with other countries, which are essential for innovation, productivity, and growth. Putin's policies have contributed to corruption and cronyism in the country, which have also deterred foreign and domestic investors and undermined the rule of law. Putin's government has limited transparency and accountability, and has favored loyalists and insiders in awarding contracts and positions of power. This has led to a concentration of wealth and power in the hands of a few, and has hindered the development of a competitive and dynamic economy. Putin's hostility towards the West and his reliance on oil and gas exports have left Russia vulnerable to external shocks and fluctuations in commodity prices. Putin's government has not invested enough in diversifying the economy or developing new industries, and has instead relied on the extraction and export of natural resources. This has led to a lack of innovation and competitiveness, and has left Russia vulnerable to fluctuations in global demand and the supply of oil and gas. In recent years, Putin has pursued a confrontational and isolationist foreign policy, aimed at restoring Russia's great power status and challenging the dominance of the West. Putin has annexed Crimea and supported separatist rebels in eastern Ukraine, intervened in the Syrian civil war, and cultivated closer ties with China and other non-Western powers. Putin has also sought to influence Western elections and public opinion through disinformation campaigns and cyber attacks, and to undermine international institutions and norms such as NATO, the EU, and the UN. However, Putin's assertiveness and aggression have come at a cost for the Russian economy and society. The Russian economy has been heavily reliant on oil and gas exports, which accounts for around 40% of the government's revenue and 60% of the country's total exports. The collapse of oil prices in 2014, combined with the Western sanctions over the Ukraine crisis, has plunged the Russian economy into regression, recession, and stagnation, with declining real incomes, investments, and innovation. Moreover, Putin's policies and rhetoric have alienated many potential investors and partners, both domestic and foreign, who fear the risk of uncertainties of doing business in a hostile and unpredictable set of environments. Putin has cracked down on independent media, civil society, and political opposition, limiting the freedom of speech, assembly, and association, and deterring dissent and innovation. Putin has also promoted a conservative and nationalistic ideology based on the glorification of Russia's past and rejection of Western liberalism and diversity, which has hindered the development of a modern and inclusive economy and society. Putin's hate and hostility towards the West, and his reliance on oil and gas exports, and thus likely to crush the Russian economy in the long run. Putin's hate will deter potential investors, partners, and tourists who value stability, transparency, and human rights, and who seek to avoid the risk and cost of political and economic isolation. Putin's hate will also limit the country's access to international markets, technology, and knowledge, which are essential for innovation, diversification, and competitiveness. Putin's hate will also undermine the country's social cohesion, as it promotes a divisive and exclusive identity, which marginalizes minorities, dissenters, and critical thinkers. To avoid this scenario, Russia needs to adopt a more open and constructive approach to the world based on mutual respect, cooperation, and engagement. Russia needs to diversify its economy and reduce its dependence on oil and gas exports by reinventing and investing in renewable energies, in itself, infrastructure, and human capital, and by promoting entrepreneurship, innovation, and diversity. Russia needs to strengthen in its institutions of rule of law by guaranteeing the freedom of expression, association, and assembly, and by ensuring the transparency and accountability of the government and the business sector. Russia needs to embrace a modern and inclusive vision of its identity, which recognizes and celebrates its diversity, creativity, and potential, and which contributes to the global economy and common good. Another factor that could contribute to how Putin's hate will crush the Russian economy is the country's demographic crisis. Russia's population has been declining since the 1990s due to a combination of factors such as low birth rates, high mortality rates, and immigration. This demographic decline poses a serious threat and significant challenge to its economy, as it leads to a shortage of workers and consumers and puts pressure on the pension and healthcare systems. Moreover, Putin's policies have not done enough to address this demographic crisis and have in fact exacerbated it in some cases. Putin's government has limited access to reproductive health services and education, and has not provided enough support for families and children. Putin has also encouraged a conservative and traditionalistic view of gender roles, which can deter women from pursuing careers and participating in the workforce. This demographic crisis could have a severe set of consequences for the Russian economy in the long term, as it could lead to a shrinking and aging population, which would limit the potential for growth and innovation. It could also lead to a greater dependency on migrant workers, which could create a social and political set of tensions. Furthermore, Putin's foreign policy agenda, which seeks to undermine Western institutions and promote Russia's influence abroad, could also hurt the Russian economy. Putin's governance has invested heavily in military and geopolitical projects, such as the annexation of Crimea, and supports separatist rebels in Ukraine, and the intervention in Syria. These projects are costly and have limited economic returns and could divert resources away from more productive and sustainable investments. In addition, Putin's aggressive foreign policy could lead to further isolation and sanctions from the West, which could further harm the Russian economy. The recent poisoning and imprisonment of oppositional figure Alexei Navalny have sparked international outrage and condemnation, and could lead to further sanctions and restrictions on Russian access to international markets and technology. Putin's hate will crush the Russian economy if not addressed and reversed. Putin's hate will undermine the country's competitiveness, innovation, and social cohesion, and will isolate it from the global community and the opportunities and challenges from the 21st century. Russia needs to abandon its confrontational and isolationistic policies and embrace a more constructive and open approach to the world based on mutual respect, cooperation, and engagement. So guys, let me know your thoughts, jokes, and comments in this section below, and for more interesting content, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more awesome content. Have a nice day. I'll see you in the next video.